Hello こんにちは。Hello こんにちは。ローグ vs G2 セカンドゲーム。G2 強いね。今のところプレイオフ10連勝か。ブルーサイドを選択したローグ。やっぱりアーリバンだよな。J4 も厄介だけどね。アーリーうますぎる。ブルーサイド選択するチームが多いね。アフェリオスバン。J4 はどうでもいいのか。ボリベア。ボリ強いよな。
Against Fnatic, and now those two champions they're just not big fans of. They just keep them banned off. Now instead banning the Hecarim, which is a good ban against Malrang, something that he showed up.
何やるかな、ヤンコス。
With Rogue actually taking the volley bear, I would expect Jankos to continue looking for the Javan, because Javan has been so big for him so far.
You're happy with the volley?
Zaya.
I am very happy to see a volley bear. I think it's a good pick yesterday. I was kind of fuming when Fnatic didn't take it, partly because it's been so important for Razork. I think Malrang has shown a little bit more depth in this champion pool, but still always happy to see the fluffy bear on the Rift.
Yeah, I think too the casters were talking about the Zaya pick getting banned in the last game, and now that being open for Flacket, how much safety, of course, that's going to provide him. If Rogue
J4
any sort of dive compositions, we've seen Flacket be so
敵のキャリーのチャンピオン見てないけど J4 行くのか。ブリンクあるとね、ウルトで囲っても意味がないからね。ここで取っちゃうか。でもまあ、メタ ADC はベタ足か。ジンクス。
How strong is this volley bear going to be versus some of these counter picks you can pick up on red side? Jinx is going to come in against the Zaya.
ってことはジンクス選ぶんだったらスレッシュ？それともタムケンチ？
I really like the fact that they took Zaya with Javan as well, because as Javan, it's so easy
Agile.
to Jinx in the mid and late
Wow.
fight. You just jump her, put a cage around her, she has no way of getting out, and it's really easy for the rest of G2 to actually collapse and take it down. I like the Azir pick for the reason that he can actually deal with Javan fairly easily, and he has so much mobility.
But Ender, you made a grimace.
Yeah, no, I'm a little surprised to see this come in.
アジール相手何取るかな。ゼラス。カウンターではあるけど。コーキー。
Don't talk about hover if you've been away too long.
I'm just saying, that would have blown my mind, and historically has been decent, but I think with the Corki in mid lane next to Azir, we're actually going all the way back to like spring of last year in some of the mid lane meta when these two guys were
Who
playing.
doesn't love Azir Corki? It's so
まあ
exciting.
ミッドでアジール相手するにはブリンクも必要だしね。
That's a hell of a lot of range. The Rogue have already started to lock in. And now if you start to look at things like the Jace, these kind of things that
Corki
come
pick.
through, well, it's very easy for someone to just go straight up for a poke comp. And while you've got the Jarvan, at least on G2 side, to make sure you can set up for that engage, I think that's something that Rogue needs to be really worried about.
G2 はここでカミール版。
One thing that I would like to see from G2 here to
ロー
round
グ
up that
JS
map
版。
is something like the
へえ、
Aura.
JS 版すんだ。
Yesterday, some front line that can, just stand in front of
JS
the
後期の
and let
ポークが怖いの
let
か。
them carry from the back line. And now it is still open. We'll see if that's something G2 is going to go for. The Tryndamere doesn't fit as well in this draft as it did in the previous one.
サポートはザヤラ感は残ってはいるけどね。
Some front lines, we need to see some good supports that can either engage and start fights or just enchanter supports that can peel for the backline.
Yeah, if there was ever a game, I think, for Trimby to go back to the Enchanter supports, this is exactly the situation you want to see it in. I think it's going to be very telling here what G2 end up deciding to do with top lane, because this is still a draft where you could choose to play around top side if you wanted to finish out your
ラ
draft.
カン
But
バ
I
ンする
think
か。
going to what they've been doing a little bit more of in the postseason, playing more around.
おお、
the lane, locking
得意の
in, like, I agree, Brooks. I would love this.
いや
No, but Ornn was just so much value
ー、
for
オーン
G2.
マジでうまかったもんな。
Absolutely
オーンの
amazing.
カウンターってなんだろう。カミールぐらいだけどバンされてるしね。
In the game, Trimby kind of same thing to be honest. In this way, he gets the support counter pick. Locks blind is not something that is fairly common.
Comp always, I think,
I'm
hovers
kinda
left.
グエン。ナーフされてめっちゃ弱いけどね。
It would have been interesting, but yeah, regardless of what they actually log in.
確定ダメージはあるけど。グエントップ。
What do you think?
Yeah, the Gwen I'm really really surprised to see. I mean, it does work well against the Ornn, and look, the nerfs that came through to her were more so a case of, hey, we're going to take a bit off of her range, but when you're in that matchup and you're looking for true damage, well, Gwen is going to be able to give that in bucket loads, and then in the later portion game, she can
サ
still
ポー
do
トを何を取る、なんかエンゲージ欲しいね、CC が欲しい。農地だな、やっぱ。スレッシュで救う戦法もあるけど、それするとポークで負けるからね。エンゲージが欲しいから農地。毎回なさす見せてくる。レナータ・グラスク。エンゲージは足りてるしね。レナータ好きだね。G2 の方が構成強そうに見えるけどな。ローグ射程短くね。ローグにしはローグ vs G2 セカンドゲーム。構成的に見たら G2 が強そうには見えるんだよね。コークもエンゲージもレートゲームも。ジンクスアジール確かにレートゲームあるけど、ベタ足のこのジンクスが J4 オンに潰されないか心配だよね。ボリビアのギャンクが気になるね。ボリビアピンクワード。リフィルポーションじゃなくてピンクワードとポーション1個。Okay. ボリビア W で回復もするけど、はあ。レベル1いい取るんだね。ローグのジャングルすげえうまいみたいだからね。トップグエン。Q に確定ダメージはあるからタンク相手は強いんだろうけど、かなりナーフされたからね。次のパッチでバフは来るんだけど、どうだろう。And then from Malrang, I think he wants a full clear base for boots, get Predator rolling, and then play towards top side. The only worry I have for Rogue's comp is you're playing basically a triple AP top side into Ornn Jarvan. I'm not sure how well that'll do in the early to mid game. Of course, late game you'll have comp on the Jinx. We'll see how the damage here works out. 後期ドラシスタートだ。アジール意外と連戦強いからね。またファーストストライク J4 見えてるよ。入っていくのか。これ見通し条件ないけどね、ヤンコスさん。1対1勝てるのか。 Q 使ったよ。めちゃくちゃアグレッシブだね。レッドワーフを盗もうとしたのか。ミッドは後期主導権ないからな。危なかったけどな。ブローケンブレードオンマジでうめえぞ。そろそろオンアイテム変えるんじゃないか。
I've seen it a little bit internationally. I've never really been impressed with it, those E-nerfs. Kind of ruthless, to be honest. But we'll see how it does for Odoamne. It was one of his go-tos back when she was meta. But I'm also thinking about this.
アジールはエアリーか。
Last game, the expectation was, well,
連戦超強気だね。
G2 consistently draft for team fighting. They do have a little bit of agency in terms of the early game, but they're very much about the 5v5. So Rogue answered, well, let's just get a better 5v5 then. Let's believe in
J4 スイーパーじゃないんだ。ボリビアのギャンクを警戒してるというか、見てあげてるね。
And again, they're limited in terms of the actual crowd control they bring to the team fight. So while Rogue definitely have more scaling options as the game progresses, I'm a little bit concerned as to how the fights will actually play out. Of course, we're still very early on.
Definitely are. And I mean, I think when we're tweaking early game, eyes are on Malrang Jankos. He has space for Predator now. Malrang got the Ruby Crystal as well, and as much as we've seen Jankos do all these great, fantastic early plays, and massive credit to him, Malrang was doing the same kind of thing in the Fnatic game on the Heck Rim, and now he's on the Volley Bear. He needs to find some early plays as well.
Wow.
To
Damage.
get this early to mid game a little bit more stable.
It's very true. I think he does have some pretty solid lanes that he can play around, especially on the Volley Bear. You kind of provide that setup, so you don't need as much, but also in the bot lane, along with the Nautilus, you have a lot of crowd control just between the two of them to be able to lock down a single target.
あ、マーランってそっか DK のサブだったんだ。
Moving as well.
I mean, both games,
そりゃ強えわな。キャニオンの元にいたんだから。うわー、うめえよこのブローケンブレード毎回。相手がフラッシュしても当たるように打ってきたね。いやマジ昨日もオンキレッキレだったからね。BB クソうめえな。トルコの選手だよな。TSM に拾われてそっからこっち G2 か。フラッシュ読みみたいなところだよねこれ。フラッシュしなくても当たるし、フラッシュしても当たる。やば。オンでうまいとな、もうぶっ壊れだからな。レートゲーム最強だし、チームファイトも最強だし。出身はドイツ。あ、そっか。出身はドイツなんだ。
that gromp up towards the top side of the map. And you saw Malrang coming back, trying to sweep that area, but the ward had already descended into rubble, meaning that G2 didn't really lose too much as they got first blood.
What I think is crazy about that is that one of two things happened. Number one, they coordinated the lanes in a way that allowed them to make that happen, or it was just, hey, my top's pushing, mid's pushing, do you just want to go? And it was just kind of like coincidental, and then they just looked for an opportunity. So perhaps they weren't even planning on trying to find Malrang, they just wanted to steal some camps or maybe get a bit of deep vision. But either way, it was just very well executed the way in which the two solo laners worked to better enable their jungler. And ironically, this is how we used to see Rogue play back in the Inspired days. That was a very common strategy and style that we would see from him.
Malrang getting spotted out there on the ward, they know exactly where he will be. And when you look at the Azir Corki matchup, as boring as it is, a little bit of the action comes around blue buff because either of these champions.
コーキーは初手ヘックス行くのかな。アジール相手はさすがに行かないか。どうだろう。
And in the good old days when we saw this matchup, Corki tended towards a more traditional AD carry build. Of course, his damage switches into magic damage as part of his passive, but expectations are that Camps will be looking for the Ludens here alongside the Manamune for all that burst coming out of the rockets. So becomes very much a poke champion, does Corki, as the game goes on. We'll see if Rogue are able to deal with it because
ミッド主導権あるから今 J4 を狙うのか。リバーに来る J4 を狙うっぽいね。プレデター逃げる。レッドバフ盗みに行く。ミッドトップ主導権あるからね。ここで一回 J4 のスキル使わせて HP 削ってレッドバフを盗む。この動きか。
And Malrang will at the very least get something back.
Yeah, you can see it across the board, not just Prio, but CS leads in top, mid, and bot comp.
ヘラルド湧きました。ヘラルド触るか触った。ヘラルドやってるの見た。オン TP がない。来れない。
Broken Blade just base, doesn't have TP. The bot lane also just based from G2.
ヘラルド捨てるんだね。
Gonna move towards it. This is just going to be an easy secure for Malrang. Completely uncontested first Herald. Looks like they caught G2 off guard with that one.
And this is the first time this weekend that G2
まあ押し込まれてるからな、トップもミッドも。こっからローグがスノーボールしてゲーム畳めればって感じ。まあでもレッドゲーム一応強いっちゃ強いけどね。でもオンのアイテムアップグレードが入るとG2 の方が強そうなんだよな。あ、マシュマロ Thank you for the gift ありがとうエディ。ヘラルド取られたけどドラゴンは取りますね。
First strike will be secured for G2, as Medic just highlighted. Now my question is, where will they use their Herald?
グエンは E のダッシュ後にアタックレンジ射程が伸びるのが半分になったかな。100伸びてたのがそれが50になって、あとはジャングルモンスターへのダメージが減ったか。それで勝率がすげえ下がったね。あ、もうオン相手は強えなやっぱ。
Something that we have seen often from Rogue. The question is, will they choose to do it this game?
So I will say, because we have a moment, because it's a slow game, can you guys walk me through, if you were Rogue and you wanted to funnel into comp, what would your steps be? Like, how would you get this Jinx, that Rift Herald? How would you get some plates? Malrang's looking for fight in the mid lane as Caps is caught out of Rogue.
いやー、ゲッツね。フラッシュあるけど切っても死ぬ。
Caps knows that even if he flashes, he sees the E animation in front of him. He can't flash to the side because Larson can follow through pretty easily. Marang can ult and disable the tower, so again saves his summoners. And this is exactly where the Herald will be dropped. I think they'll start to hit the tower. After a couple plates fall, they'll drop it. As I said, there it is. We've got the bot lane moving up as well from G2, and the golds will be funneled into the Azir. The way you want to use Herald is either you want to wait, hold for it as long as possible. If a play shows itself, or you can find a dive or zone them off a tower just like this, then you want to drop it.
ヘラルドミッドでぶつけるな。強えな。あ、そうだね。ローグは序盤はミッドトップで主導権あるから、そこでヘラルド取って攻めていきますね。後期はレートゲームですから。トップの CS はすごいね。ボリビア1回捕まえたけど。後期初手マラムネムラマナじゃない、マナムネか。基本ヘックスが多いけど、アジール相手マナムネ。パワースパイクは早いだろうね。おお、見えたか、見えたね。
chip away at Malrang's HP. Jankos was here as well, but Jimby came up from the bottom lane. And with the G2 bot lane resetting on their Eclipse timer here.
アジールレン強えよな。これバフ入ったアジールだっけ？ HP が200ぐらい増えたよな。どうだったっけな。トップのファーム差が思ったよりも出てる。グエンがめっちゃ育ってる。J4 狙われる。タンク J4 狙われる。おグラスクの Q が当たった。ドラゴン1分半。クラーケンなんだ、ジンクス。お、ザヤのウルトを見てからノーチフラッシュキル。ノーチあれは生きそうだけど生きない。追尾勝ったのは G2。 レッドバフ攻める。ミッドは後期帰った。後期来れないですよ。オン寄ってるだ。でもオンそこ通ったらやばいや。おっとお互いにスバイトつか。後期パッケージ持ってるからこれは引きますね。12.5 だから入ってない。あ、そっか。アジールのバフは入ってねえのか。12.6 か。いやでもミッドのタワー取ったのはローグ。ミッドタワーでかいよ。このパッケージのタイミングでセカンドドラゴン狙いますね、G2。うわ、後期のポークどこまで行く。 コーキーハイエパッケージ持ってるとき。
They have TPs. They just need to find a way in. TPs coming in. Do they want to contest this? Odoamne's TP will decide whether they are going to do so. Package is burned.
これはパッケージの圧力で取れないね。
Just gonna give that one up. Herald is spawning soon, so Rogue, I feel like they're making a bit of a blunder here. Their jungle AD and supporter is hovering in both side jungles if they want to contest. Now they're gonna push Jankos away from the crab. Jankos gets it though, and now they're gonna move towards Herald. You have to feel or look for some kind of bot dive because they have tempo after G2 did that dragon, but they're not using it so well. Now they're going towards Herald, it looks like, and there won't be a play on bot side.
The pings are coming through now, but Rogue seem to be of a bit of a split decision there. G2 happy to take advantage of it and will find themselves 2 drakes to 0.
ローグはここでヘラルド。今回マウンテンドラゴンソウル。反対側行きますよ。相手がヘラルド取ってるから。
I think we're continuing to see this. We saw this in game 1. We're seeing it again on game 2. But G2 just reading the map very well, always in a great position to be able to do something. And now Comp could lose his life.
Oh.
Hits Cataclysm, a possible follow-up. They're waiting for Comp to burn the flash. Got the route with the flame.
Jinx flash.
Able to walk away. Re-engage possibly here from Trimby and Comp. The blast cone forward. Trimby will spot the
おっと、レトフは無理しないか。今ボリビアがわかんねえぞ。
Resets again. Jankos doesn't have smite. Larson has mid push and they don't know where he is, so minimap you can see Jankos backing away. They don't know where Larson is. He could collapse towards Botsa. Malrang has Herald. Malrang has Herald if he wants to use on this tower, but looks pretty free. Just gonna drop some emotes. And I presume that's going towards a bot tier 1 then.
That's the only remaining outer tower. As the reset does come out.
J4 助けに来た。
Now this ward will spot out. Odoamne needs to order that tower once more. Does get knocked up. Of course, Gwen.
グエン W はうわボリビアちょっと帰るの早かったかな。タワーは取ったんだけど J4 がそのままトップ来たね。
See that G2, they're losing a little bit of control over the map, but G2 are always finding ways to answer everything that Rogue does. So they get a tower, G2 get themselves a kill. Rogue get one objective, G2 get something elsewhere on the map, and it feels like the G2, as we mentioned earlier, just reading the map very well right now and kind of forcing Rogue to play to their tune.
Definitely are, but how the hell does Caps have a 200 gold shutdown right now? He lost his
tower
to Larson, but Malrang anyway looking for a mid play.
Blackhead can pop the Feather Storm, has the root to pull it back as well. Handshake.
経済ウルト。ウルトで囲む。ストップアーチ使わせる。これはグエンのウルトじゃなくてテレポート。あんまり怖くねえなグエンは。キャップス狙ってる。
Smartly, wisely went back into his own jungle.
And we haven't talked too much about engage, and I feel like G2 yesterday, today, every single draft they have, it's either a Jarvan or
ストップワッチはでかいね。
Rogue's only real engage is maybe a TP flank from Odoamne, Larson's super play, diving in with a stopwatch in the ultimate, or Trimby hitting a hook. So I think G2 are pretty safe to engage and disengage at their own will with Desire or not. They're peeling back now. G2 looking for this bot tier 2. They have TP on Broken Blade. Odoamne does not. Larson does not either.
Hex flash into hook. Hex flash into hook. Trimby doesn't hook. That looked exciting for a second. As a support, you see those lines, man. You're reading the map, you know. It's
looking for the angles.
Equations next to your head as you wait to see if you can get the engage, but Trimby didn't go for it.
トップダイブ狙ってるかな。
Larson and Malrang are hovering around the top side of the map right now.
I mean, also he's died a lot engaging in the last couple of games. Like, as the primary engage for his team, he has died a ton.
Also, Targamas with Guardian, surprisingly tanky on Renata. You think that this is a squishy champ, but she beefier than she looks.
トータルゴールドは G2 追いついてきたね。ドラゴン3つ目があと1分後。なんか流れ的には G2 全然悪くないんじゃない？後期010で賞金ついてる。オンはあと少し。あと5分ぐらいしたらパワースパイク来るな G2。マナムネも2つ溜まるし。オンのアイテムアップグレード。まあ30分前後、どうだろう、あと10分ぐらいか。アジール、グエン、ジンクスもレート強いけど、どうだろうね。ジンクスがフリーダメージ出せるかすごい怪しい。
You can see on the minimap, as well. Comp a little hesitant to push towards the mid
ヘラ
lane.
ルドボトムでぶつける。
On his team is, but he doesn't have that much information as to where G2 is. So he's just going to catch that mid wave. And the tower in the bot lane will end up dropping. TP now coming through.
ドラゴンのためにテレポートを切ったアジール。
To contest this Drake.
おーもう TP パッケージちょっと間に合わねえな、テレポートねえから。今すぐ始められたらまずいね。わあでもこのザヤのポークだよな。見てこれ、グエン HP 半分だよ。グエン TP ないよ。いやこれコーキーのパッケージマジで OP だからね。ランブルのウルトだよ本当に。なんならランブルのウルトよりも強い説あるからな。スローが重いし。カニ食ったのは G2。 でもこれスマイト使ったぞ。スマイトあと10秒クールダウン。ポークわーこのコーキーのポークだよな。エンゲージが微妙なんだよねローグ。逆にオーンからエンゲージ。ザヤフラッシュウルト。みんなでフラッシュイン。G2 なんか絶妙に噛み合わなかったけど、それでも1人殺してドラゴン取るね。そうなんだよね。グエンが入れるキャラでもないし、ボリビアもな。ノーチ1人で負担がでかいね。サンドラだまた。ノーチのフックをコーキーのコーキーのなんだパッケージでいなしたのか。ノーチのウルトを無駄にしたしな。いやノーチのスキルを全部コーキーが吸収したねパッケージで。コーキーザヤのこのポークな。ザヤもポーク強いのよ。射程が長くて9は 9E のダメージで3割とかいくからね。3、4割。アジールが超うまくエンゲージするしかないんだけど。バーロン触ったぞ。バレてない可能性あるな。分かってないな。ジンクスがいなかったからな。ヤンコス盗みに行く。ノップダメだ。ただチームファイトどうなる。オーンのウルトバロン取ったのはローグ。しかし3人やられた。こっから何が取れるかだね。
Rogue leveraging the fact that this Azir can take this Baron down very quickly. G2 were caught off guard. Jankos tries to go in for the steal. If he had stolen that, it would have been absolute disaster.
バロン
The good news for G2 is they find themselves 3 kills.
どうだろう。
They're also going to get the tier 1 in the top lane.
なんだかんだバロン取ったからワースな感じもするし、あんまりオブジェクト取れないんじゃない G2 は。タワーまあどっちもどっちって感じかな。J4 の盾旗か。旗が終わってからすぐだね。旗刺してから4秒ぐらい視界取れてたけど、それもしっかり分かってた。レナータのウルトがもう何人に入ったよ。4人に入ったんか。レナータのウルト刺さったな。トータルゴールドはイーブンですね。バロンパワープレイはどうなってるんだろう。プラス400。バロン取ったからプラス400でワースなのかもしれないけど、これでイーブンだね。
55-4-61 is his current KDA. This was of course before the first game of today, but the man has definitely grown a lot as a player, and obviously so far this series it's kind of been the Caps Jankos show, but still you think about that flash play in that he made in the last Dragon.
アジール下がるの早かったな。もうちょっとプレッシャーしてもよかったんじゃない。ワードあったし。
let's not forget that he was replacing Reckless, right? Like one of the legends here of Europe. Expectations were incredibly
コーキーのアイテムアップグレードされてる。
by upset in the first time that they met, but he talked about how his loss helped him grow as a player, helped him evolve, helped him learn a lot, and like we've seen that learning, that growing, and he's a very consistent, reliable carry now for G2. The question is, will that be enough to bring them home another finals trophy for the G2 organization?
And growth's what we expect with like when you have legends like Jankos and Caps next to you. Broken Blade's got a heap of experience as well, 2 finals in the LCS, so he's had a pretty long career, and now sitting in the finals once again in the LEC for the first time. Larson's going to get that
ボトムのポジションを取っている RNG じゃね、ローグ。これをどう引っかからないで視界取り返すかだね。まずミッドファームが来る前にボトム押し返す。視界取り返す。これザヤいないから気をつけないとダメだよ。ミッド押し込まれたローグが先に待ち伏せる。ミッド押し返す。オンをね、フロントに置けばいいからね。ここでミッドに集まってミッド押し込みたい G2。視界が全くないです。コーキーパッケージあるかな。コーキーレベル16。16コーキー。ウルトのダメージやばいよ。ウルトレベル3。しかもパッケージ。オーに入ってくる。ストップワッチ完璧。コーキーが来る。コーキー捕まったけどどうだ。いやーコーキーのウルトやべえよ。4ドラゴン取れるね。だってジャングラー死んでるもん。コーキーまだパッケージ持ってるよ。うわーキャップス。うんま。G2 うんま。やっぱ構成鬼強えってオーンがいるからもうとんでもなく強いわ。いやオーンもストップアッチ超良かったわ。これねノージのウルトあったからここでストップアッチ使ってなかったらオーン溶けてやばかったんだけど、オーンが死んだけどもう一回レナートのウルトで生き返ってから仕事したね。コーキー来るの遅れたけどダメージがやばいわ。オーンのアイテムアップグレードの効果もあるからな。
with a flawless performance. It's unreal reactions as well, because Larson is WE flashing as well there. He's doing it quick on the fingers. Caps instantly reacts, holds the package for so long despite getting hooked anyway. So
このパッケージの使い方がうまいね。本当に。
G2 are sitting on a soul 4,000 gold ahead. Their carries scaled up. We've seen Rogue just unable to find a way into these team fights, unable to find a way to break down the armor of G2. G2 now control the top side of the map. 30 seconds on the Baron for them. Bounties available for the second time this series for Rogue, and Odoamne might try and claim one in the bottom lane.
G2 in a fantastic position right now. They would put themselves 2-0 up in the series. And you think about the beginning of the split, no one would have predicted that they would have a run like this. Back-to-back 3-0s. They're on the verge of going 2-0 in the finals of the LEC. And old school G2, that was an expectation. That was the norm. If you were
お、何これ。勝てるようになったオン。コーキーが後ろから来てるからか。グエン、ゴースト使う。オンのクールダウン早いからな。どんどん使っても構わないみたいだね。
Last year was a bit of a failure for the organization as a whole, but for them to be in this position right now, in such a short space of time with only a few roster changes, very impressive changes.
It's also an unbelievable bounce back. The fact they lost 3-1 to Fnatic in the upper bracket, and if they win this and go on to win the next one, they could be sitting in a 12-0 record run through the lower bracket into the finals.
捕まえたか。コーキーパッケージはないね。パッケージはない。
Full control for G2 on the top side river. They need to get this mid wave in, or they could just start it straight away. Rogue
ドラゴンおるの早えぞ。ドラゴンじゃねえや、バロンね。アジール逃げる。反転はどうだ？ J4 ウルトからどう入っていく？ジンクスノーフラッシュよ。ジンクスノーフラッシュよ。ジンクス1キル取ったけどスロー食らってノックアップ。ダメだ、フロントラインが貧弱すぎる。やっぱ構成微妙だよな。序盤は良かったんだけど。
How many numbers is his head? Oh, Caps has more.
Maran can execute though. Of course, he will still be dead for a while. Does get the execute, and because of that ban forfeit, you have to feel.
You have to because Jankos is going to respawn.
バロンはどうだ？取れないか？ジャングラー30秒だからまあいけそうだね。バロンのタイミングでエルダーもあるのか。リプレイな、農地から入ってくるんだけど、アジールが軽く出せる位置にいないね。孤立してたね。アジールがマジで殴れてない。アジールの位置が悪すぎた。
That's his job in these fights. He has to engage because no one else can really do it. Maybe if you have vision control, you can find a flank from Larson. You can find a flank from Larson. But Trimby is the primary engage as he was on the Leona. And so every time he goes in, Caps just has his number.
ワンチャンエルダー取れたらって感じなんだろうけどな。バロンバフもあるよ。なんならエルダー触らないでもポークしながらインヒビター取ってゲームやってもいいけどね。当たりに来る。コウキテレポートがない。ちょっと待って、コウキテレポートねえじゃん。おいおい、コウキテレポートねえのに何やってんだ G2。勝ったけど勝つんかい。勝てるんかい4対5で。コウキ TP ねえから入ってったけど勝てないのか。コウキいなくても勝てる。やっぱこれは構成ギャップ。コウキやばすぎだろおい。キャップズやばいって。お、死んだな。まあ関係ねえけど。いや、ゲーム終わるよね、終わる。いやー、G2 強え。11連勝プレーオフ。ファナティックに3勝1敗で負けてからそっから11連勝。やべえな。覚醒してるな。